Hi, everybody. My name is Victoria Leonardo, and I am with Workforce Solutions Capital Area. I'm an outreach specialist, so I basically work in the schools and work with teachers and industries. And today we are actually working with a teacher and an Austin industry to give y'all some questions about in-demand careers and fields and anything that you want to know about EMS. So we have Brandon Elkert. He's actually a Connolly High School teacher in Pflugerville ISD who will be administering the questions. And then we also have Selena Xie, who is a captain of Austin EMS. So I'm going to head out. I'm going to blank my screen, but if y'all need me, I will be here.
All right. Hi there, Selena. Nice to meet you. Captains is your title here. So we'll go ahead and get started. If you can just describe your typical workday and like some of your main responsibilities as a captain.
So I'm a captain for Austin Travis County EMS. That promotion is very new. Technically, it means that I will be training cadets. Unfortunately, because of all the strain on our system that's being placed by coronavirus, none of the new captains have actually been trained on how to train cadets yet. So I'm much more familiar with being a paramedic for Austin Travis County EMS as a clinical specialist. And what that means is we work 24-hour shifts. And so we actually work one 24-hour shift or two 24-hour shifts a week. So it's a very cool job where you only work 1 or 2 days a week. And when you're working, you're really working. And when you're resting, you're really resting. So I think it is a really exciting career for folks who want flexibility, who want quite a bit of time off, but who also really want to help people. So our shifts right now, they start at 10 a.m. for the most part. So you can sleep in, get as much rest the night before. And then our system is a very, very busy EMS system. And so starting at 10 a.m., probably you will be pretty busy and you'll be running 911 calls. And that can look like anything you can possibly imagine. Somebody hurting themselves really bad in a car accident, to somebody having unexplained pain so that they can't walk. Or sometimes people get called for very small things, and sometimes things that are not medical related, but social work related or other things. So you definitely see a huge variety of calls. And then you'll run calls all day. And then hopefully in the evening, you'll get a break to sleep for a few hours. And then you get off shift at 10 a.m.
Okay. And so can you tell us how long have you been you said you're a paramedic before you were promoted. Got it. So how long have you been a paramedic?
So I've actually worked for Austin Travis County for 8 years. And I've been a paramedic for 6 of those years. I started out as an EMT basic, and it's a really cool career field because in order to get hired by Austin Travis County EMS, you really just need to take your EMT basic course, which is 2 months, and you can do that at ACC. You don't need a 4-year degree to do that. And then because our system is so demanding, we do require a year of experience after your EMT basic course. So you can either get that experience on a slower transfer service like Acadian, or you can actually work as an EMT in the hospital as a tech.
Thank you. I think that's really important for students to know that they can come out of school and get something certified to start working relatively quickly and then work towards something a little bit higher. So I'm really glad that you shared that with us. So that's a little bit about the education and training. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of like the academic and technical skills that you also use in your career?
Yeah. So an EMT basic, it's actually a really great course if you're considering going into the medical field. As a nurse, I actually thought I wanted to be a nurse. I am a nurse also now. But when I originally thought I only wanted to be a nurse, I went ahead and took my EMT basic class. And I just learned so much about the field of medicine. And you know, it's a really cool field because it's both very physically demanding and also really intellectually stimulating. And so you have to practice these certain skills over and over and over again because you need to be proficient when you need to be proficient. Somebody who is in a tragic car accident, there is a lot of pressure to make sure that you get an IV or make sure that you do a good assessment. And so we make sure to provide a lot of training and repetition to make sure that you feel confident in your skills. So those skills can be, if you see, for example, an ankle deformity, knowing which tools to use to splint that appropriately. Specific skills are like starting an IV, appropriately applying a neck brace. So there are a lot of specific physical skills. You also have to, carry a lot of gear whenever you go on a call. So our primary bag, it probably weighs about 75 pounds. We also have a monitor that weighs about 50 pounds. And so between you and your partner, you have to carry that equipment. As far as the intellectual stuff, so if somebody comes to you with a complaint like my stomach hurts, your stomach can be hurting for hundreds of different reasons. And so it's up to you to figure out why your stomach is hurting and potentially provide any treatments that you need to before you get to the hospital, or if recognizing that what they really need the most is just to be at the hospital. The future of EMS is really, really exciting too, because at some point, there's actually a bill right now that's being looked at the federal level to allow EMS providers to actually take people from their homes. And let's say somebody calls 911 because they're having abdominal pain, but it turns out they really need dialysis and they skip their dialysis appointment because they felt sick. And so we will actually in the future be allowed to take them directly to a dialysis clinic or directly to their doctor's office and get them the most appropriate treatment. And so the future of EMS is really becoming, a normal house call for a doctor, because although sometimes we run emergencies, most times we're really taking care of everybody in the community when they just don't know what to do and have a medical complaint.
Huh. Wow, you shared a lot of really great stuff with us there. I can say, yeah, I appreciate you sharing like all sort of different aspects, skills that are needed. Kind of based on that, as far as like teachers, what kind of skills, thinking back to maybe what you were able to do in school, what kind of skills would you say are most valuable for teachers to be focusing on?
I think that for teachers, really like you do also have to be able to do math pretty quickly. And other skills, I think just really working hard and knowing that, trying to figure out what you want to do. I think sometimes people get into EMS because their parents are in EMS, or they really want to do like a lot of really high speed adrenaline stuff. But really, if you just want to help people on a bad day, that's the quality that you need. And so, if teachers can really help kids figure out what they're passionate about, I think that they can help lead them to EMS or to other different career fields.
Great. And let's see here. I have my questions all set up here on my other screen. Now, our school does have a health sciences program, but as you can imagine, budgets are always tight. Are there any specific skills? I know they work on a lot of different kind of technique skills that you were talking about. Are there any specifically that you think would be really valuable for students to be working on early, so that when they get to a point of maybe selecting a career, they feel a little bit proficient in some things?
Yeah, if you can learn how to take a blood pressure, that is really, really helpful in the medical field. If you can learn how to take a blood glucose, a lot of our family members have diabetes, and so they check their blood sugars regularly. So if you can participate in that and learn what some of those numbers are, I think EMS in the medical field can be really scary in general, just because there's so many numbers that you have to memorize. And so if you can start to get to know what some of those numbers mean beforehand, then that's just less that you need to learn. So like knowing what a normal blood pressure is, knowing what a normal heart rate is, those type of numbers can really help get the foundation of medicine.
Great, thank you. Now you've been a paramedic and been here for a little while. How has like technology maybe, it's kind of two questions here. How does it affect your position maybe day to day? And then maybe how has technology, as you've been a paramedic, changed over time?
Yeah, we're working really hard on integrating technology. Right now, we are piloting a new app that allows us to track patients in the field to when they get in the hospital. We've started using this app primarily for COVID-19 patients, but hopefully we'll be able to use it for all sorts of patients. But outside of that, I mean, our monitor and a lot of our equipment has primarily stayed the same. I think it's also about introducing technology that they use in the hospital into the field. So I actually advocated for our department to buy pumps for medications, ultrasounds, so that we can more accurately diagnose some lung issues and some heart function issues. And other equipment that will kind of, bring us up into the future. EMS it is a little bit more rudimentary than in the hospital, but there's a lot of great tools that are becoming cheaper and cheaper that we should be introducing into the field.
Interesting. Is there any, I know this is kind of, it doesn't quite, it pretty much stays on the course of what you're talking about. Is there anything you want to comment on as far as maybe how COVID-19 has kind of affected that as well?
Yeah, for a long time, Austin had a really low prevalence of COVID-19, and EMS actually in the beginning, we actually started this new program where if you called 911 and you had, flu-like symptoms or a cough or a fever, they would actually transfer you over to our paramedics that are there and able to talk to you a little bit more fully about your symptoms. And if it makes more sense for you to stay at home because you're really stable, then they would help you do that and help you get signed up for a test. And so, we really think that by not bringing people who have COVID-19 to the hospital when they don't need to be hospitalized, or if they don't have COVID-19, preventing them from going to the hospital, or, letting them know that they don't have to go to the hospital where there actually is COVID-19. And so some of our efforts, I think, kept our incident rate really low. And we have to really be on the forefront of wearing all the PPE that's appropriate. In EMS, we actually tend to have a better stock of PPE than the hospitals do, than other medical institutions. And so, our PPE stock has been pretty healthy for most things. And so just making sure that you are being as safe as possible, because if you are wearing all the right PPE, you are preventing yourself from getting sick. You're preventing your family members from getting sick. You're preventing other patients from getting sick. And so really thinking about how your safety can affect the safety of the community as well.
Thank you. I think that's really helpful because I think when we go back to school, we're going to find that, COVID-19 has changed all of our lives in some way. And so I think it'll be great to have them hear that and also know the importance of PPE, because I know they learn about it, but I think now there's a new importance to it almost. So a few more questions, kind of changing gears here a little bit. I appreciate you coming and speaking with us today and taking this time. Do you know of any ways that Austin Travis County EMS partners with schools or partners with students and that sort of thing to help help them make decisions and that sort of thing? You talked about helping students see if it's a career they're interested in or want to do.
Well, we're certainly available to bring an ambulance and visit any high school that you want. Also, we have an Explorers program for high school students. So that's Austin Travis County EMS ATX Explorers Post 247. And they are full right now because so many people are interested in the field, but they do have a really great wait list that you can sign up on. And that is every Tuesday, you'll go to class, you'll learn about medicine, you'll learn about Austin. And if you stick in the program at the end of your senior year, they'll actually put you through EMT basic. And so, we have a ton of explorers that went through the program all throughout high school, graduated, went to EMT basic, got hired on with Austin Travis County EMS. And then when you work for our department, you actually can go to paramedic school for free. And so all you have to do is pay for one class. And then once you join our department, they'll put you in school for 2 years while you're working. So it's a pretty awesome career field, and it pays really well too, starting about $18 an hour. And so it's a very rewarding career, but it's hard work, and sometimes it can feel really thankless. But if you do really want to help people, this is a good way to do it directly.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great that so many people are taking advantage of it. You have a wait list. Now there's a couple other questions, and you may kind of have already addressed them about like student job shadowing or like mentoring students. That's kind of all enveloped in that program, right?
Yeah, the Explorer program allows you to be on an ambulance doing blood pressures and blood sugars. If you know somebody who is in EMS, or you can also contact our department. I'll get an email address, but you can definitely schedule a ride along. Of course, right now with coronavirus, we're not doing any ride alongs at all. But in the next year, once we have a vaccine, once things are more settled, then we love having riders come along to see what we do every day.
Great. I think that really answers all our questions. I think you did a really great job on just like thinking from like a student perspective, things that I think students really want to know and hear.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's anything else you want to comment on. Maybe if there's any advice you would give a student. You may kind of have already addressed that one though as well.
Yeah, I really think that if you are interested in the career field or in the medical field, and don't know that you want to be inside all the time, you kind of want something that's a little bit more exciting. EMS is a really exciting career field. You get to do some very advanced medicine, and really, what we call austere environments. So that's, just out in the world. And so it's really, really exciting. It's also a really great stepping stone to see if you want to be a doctor, a physician's assistant. You can really learn a lot about yourself, and you can learn a lot about other different medical careers that you could potentially take afterwards.
Great. Thank you so much. I want to see if Victoria wants to jump back in at all. I think
Thank you so much. That was so informative. I always love learning about EMS and EMT and just how things are shifting now with COVID. It's crazy, but it's cool that y'all are doing like the right precautions and making sure your family and your friends and everybody around are safe. So awesome. Well, if you have any resources that you can send me so I could put under the video, that would be awesome. And Brandon, thank you so much. I'm sure your students will love watching this.
Yeah,
watching
this is a good one.
Interview. But thank y'all so much, and I hope y'all have a great day and stay safe. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.